to extortion, illegal gambling, arson, loan sharking, and labor racketeering.
Faces of the accused because they are presumed to be innocent. This sweep, more than 100, New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, involving 7 mob families, the 5 New York families, the Gambino, Genovese, Colombo, Bonanno, and Lucchese families, as well as the smaller New Jersey family, the Cavalcantes. They are believed to be the inspiration for The Sopranos. And in New England, as well as a slew of bookies, middle management, and other...
So here's the proof, huh? Give the story because it's better than the truth, huh? Allegories will keep between me and you, huh? We get coins, never scraps. See this a Bitcoin getting cat. So here's the proof, huh? Give the story because it's better than the truth, huh? Allegories will keep between me and you, huh? We get coins, never scraps. See this a Bitcoin getting cat. So join, started federal, grabbed a Colombo. See proof of work, I made it legible. Move out to cyber, was keeping crimes off of the web for you. Started a special group, yeah, I went private. Fell in love with Bitcoin and started mining. That's when I started shining. Getting green, dropping gems. Rocking the comic club, got them sent. They laugh, popping limbs. Give them life, here's the boost. Gotta put in the work, here's the proof. So here's the proof, huh? Give the story because it's better than the truth, huh? Allegories will keep between me and you, huh? We get coins, never scraps. See this a Bitcoin getting cat. So here's the proof, huh? Give the story because it's better than the truth, huh? Allegories will keep between me and you, huh? We get coins, never scraps. See this a Bitcoin getting cat. So join, get it back.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 15 of Vinny's Proof of Work podcast. You may have noticed I don't want to say new intro song, just a slightly different intro song. I made a clean version because I think that a lot of the videos I have, or I know, I kept getting warnings about them being for adult content, even if there was episodes I did that were not geared towards adult content. I think it was the intro and all the foul language and the beatings and the torture and all that. I'm just guessing, but I think that's what kept causing it. So I created a clean intro just so that these videos shouldn't necessarily be marked for 18 or older if they don't have to. Figuring that's probably a better way to reach more people. But I'll switch around. That's not finished. The intro, that was just something I whipped together last night, but I'm gonna play with it a little bit more. I want to do a quick show. I always say a quick show, but they're never quick shows. I don't know why. I don't shut up. But I want to do a quick show on this video that's been floating around. It's actually been out for a few years, involving the arrest of an ATF agent who was working. He was at somebody's residence, and he was arrested by the Columbus, I think it was the Columbus Police Department. You guys may have seen this floating around Twitter. I loved it because it was one of the rare times that I actually, after seeing probably a couple-minute clip of it, it had so many red flags for being fake. I commented that there's no way it could be real because it was just so outrageous. The interaction between both the cop and the ATF agent was just so outrageous. And on top of that, there were other what seemed like telltale signs, like the lack of overlay over the body cam video worn by the officer was bizarre to me, that they always have some sort of overlay designating the device that they're using, the date and time, a lot of other things. And it just was blank. So that seemed to me kind of crazy. But as it turns out, it's real. It's a real video, a real situation. There's actually a civil suit that's been filed that I Googled and read several different articles. I can't find the complaint. I don't know if it's not public for some reason. But the ATF agent ended up suing the police department, and a lot of people who've seen the video, it's interesting because there's a debate of who was in the wrong. Some people say the cop was an asshole. Some people say the ATF agent was an asshole. So I wanted to go through and just give you my breakdown, my opinion of what I think happened here, and maybe some of the background context that could have led up to something like this. So embarrassing for both of them, honestly, for both agencies. So embarrassing. But believable in the sense that these types of interactions can happen between federal and state law enforcement agencies. And I myself have been involved in more than a few that weren't this cringy, but definitely definitely shady, and people would probably be surprised by. But before I get into that, this reminded me of a video I hadn't seen in years, probably like 15 years, of a DEA agent who also sued the Department of Justice based on a presentation he was doing, a live presentation he was doing in a classroom full of kids, parents, and even like babies. Like I think there were a couple under 5-year-old kind of types in there as well, where he was doing a demonstration on guns. I haven't seen it in forever. It was a big deal when I was at the FBI. It made its rounds, and you could tell by the quality of the video, it's super low quality. If I had to guess the year this came out, it would have been like 2005, 2006. And I'm going to play it because I think it's hysterical.
Because he was playing with a gun. And see, this is an unloaded gun. Right here, this is the gun. No, empty weapon. Empty weapon. This is a Glock 40. 50 Cent, Too Short, all of them talk about Glock 40.
I actually take issue with that because I grew up listening to Too Short, given he was only, 14 albums deep by the time I got through high school, as opposed to, I'm guessing he's probably got like 50 albums now. I didn't hear Too Short talking a lot about specifically a Glock 40. Maybe I'm not remembering, but all the albums that I had and listened to nonstop, I don't remember him talking about a Glock 40 specifically. And I think he said, did he say Tupac or did he say 50 Cent? Hold on.
Too Short, all of them talk about Glock 40.
50 Cent.
Too Short, 50 Cent, Too Short, all of them talk about Glock.
So that sound, for those of you guys listening, that sound is him releasing the slide on the
Glock 40. Okay, I'm the only one in this room. This is a Glock 40. 50 Cent, Too Short, all of them talk about Glock 40. Okay, I'm the only one in this room professional enough that I know of to carry this Glock 40. I'm the only one.
Just shot himself in the leg.
No, is everybody all right? You all right? No, that's it. Whoa. I got it.
40 is what I had issue from Quantico. It's loud. It's loud outside, inside in the classroom. That you hear that boom, it's loud. It just scared the shit out of these people.
That I know of to carry this Glock 40.
I love he says, I'm the only one professional enough that I know of to carry this Glock 40 right before he shoots himself in the thigh.
40. 50 Cent, Too Short, all of them talk about Glock 40. Okay, I'm the only one in this room professional enough that I know of to carry this Glock 40. I'm the only one.
Oh.
No more. Is everybody all right? You all right? No, that's it. Whoa. I got it. Yeah, I had an AD.
Someone said you had one in the chamber, and he said, yeah, I had an AD. So one in the chamber means it was a round in the chamber, obviously, and AD is an accidental discharge. I have to note, too, this guy is badass. He just shot himself in the thigh with a 40 cal. And I think this has more to do with just the power of embarrassment. Everyone's been there where you injure yourself in front of other people, but you're so embarrassed that the embarrassment actually overrides the desire to just fall on the floor and cry, or, really make a further spectacle of yourself. This guy, this is peak, right? He's so embarrassed that he just shot himself in the leg, and he's just going to continue talking and continue on with the presentation.
Yeah, I'm here. Listen up, guys. But listen up. And I made a mistake. So listen to me. Guys, listen to me. Yeah, listen to me. See that how the accident happened? It can happen to you, and you can be blown away. Okay? So guys, never play with guns. See how accidents happen? They happen. Okay, now I'll probably never be able to show guns again. But Brian, bring that up.
Now I'll probably never be able to show guns again. Yeah, that's a safe bet. You just pop the cap off in a classroom full of kids. And then here's where he just doubles down. Get me that gun over there.
Yeah, Bobby, see that right there. See that right there. Brian. I think he called it right now. Bring it up the gun out. Hey, you see this gun right here, guys? Listen.
So now she takes out like an AR style. I'll say a machine gun because that's what it looks like to a crowd of people who don't know anything. Now there's a woman bringing out a machine gun after this guy just shot himself in the leg.
Hey, it's empty. It's an empty weapon, guys. Don't listen.
Put it down. You hear the crowd. He's like, hey, oh, it's empty. Yeah, where did we hear that? He's got to be bleeding all over the floor. He's got to be bleeding like bad, and he's lucky he didn't hit an artery because he could be dead by now if he hit an artery.
Hey, brother, just keep my stuff.
And I love how his coworkers act like it's totally normal that he shot himself in the leg. So I don't know. Should we wrap it up? I guess the hand grenade demonstration's off the table now. There's a guy with a baby. You see her? She's like, I don't know, 3? I don't know. It just reminded me, this whole thing. It made me think of it for some reason. So here's the video from the ATF agent, the police department. It's long, but I'm going to try to move through it pretty quickly. Bodycam 1, police officer arriving on scene. So what sparked all of this was ATF agent goes to, this is what precedes this. ATF agent goes to knock on person's door in the performance of his duties. He's there to, I believe, check on an illegal or collect an illegal shotgun. When an illegal could mean, it very likely means it's something that was purchased and maybe he shouldn't own because he has a criminal record now, or lied on an application of some sort, or didn't lie but now has since been arrested. There's a million reasons, and the fact that the agent's showing up alone to collect this probably indicates that they don't believe this is going to be confrontational at all with the person. It's not like an arrest scenario. So woman sees this guy knocking on the door in street clothes. He says, I'm here to see your husband. She says he's at work. He says, I need to see this shotgun. Open the door. I have to collect the shotgun. She says, no. She says, I don't believe you. He shows his badge, I guess, through the peephole, or maybe she cracks the door. I don't think she actually ever opened the door, so it's probably through a peephole. And he gives her his badge number, which is, for the most part, all you can do when you're trying to prove who you are. I've had this happen to me many, many times where I knock on a door and the person at the door genuinely doesn't believe I am who I say I am. Or sometimes they're just using that as a convenient excuse to not answer the door. But it shouldn't be, especially if you're in street clothes and you're alone, it shouldn't be a shock to you as an ATF agent or FBI agent or whatever, that people are going to say that they don't believe you or have concern. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, with how many people can be imposters out there, you don't want to open the door to someone say, hey, I'm an FBI agent, and some guy who looks like me in street clothes. So I would get asked that a lot, and there's easy ways around that. Normally, in this situation, you'd say, hey, I understand that. Call 911 or call, go on Google, look up your local, in this guy's case, the ATF office. I would say, look up the FBI office, call. And there's a main number there. You'll call and say, I have someone here saying they're FBI agent, and have them either call my cell phone or give them the credential numbers I gave you. And they'll validate that at least the credential numbers are legit, and they'll usually call you and validate, hey man, we spoke to the person. It's him. He's at your door. It's easily resolved. And at that point, there's really nothing else a citizen can ask you to do to prove who you are. You've shown them your ID. You've allowed them to call the operations center. And I had the cops call me many times when I've been at front doors, many, many times. So up to this point, this isn't super unusual, but then literally 5 seconds in, it goes completely crazy.
Hey, turn around. Let me see your hands. Turn around. Let me see your hands.
So he's yelling at the ATF agent who you could see at the door up there.
Okay, let me see your hands. I need to see some ID.
He says, I'm a federal fucking agent, which I think is part of the reason why this went sideways. So the cop saying, let me see your hands is also goofy because you're pulling up. There's a guy in street clothes. He's not displaying a weapon. He's not banging a door down. I've never had a cop walk up to me in this kind of context and start off with, let me see your hands. I make sure my hands are out, but I also make sure that I either have my credentials in my hands or that I'm prepared to go get my credentials and say, hey, my credentials, my identifications in my wallet. And I used to wear cargo pants like that all the time. So I know exactly, you keep them in there because it's big. Your credentials are bulky. It's easier to store them in your cargo pants like that. So this cop automatically escalates this to guns drawn, when the only thing that is visible from the ATF agents, from what he can see from his perspective on the ATF agent, is a guy with nothing in one hand and paper in the other hand. To me, this is totally inappropriate. You can't draw down on somebody simply because you say, let me see your hands. He didn't reach for anything. He actually said, I'm a fucking ATF agent because he's pissed off that this woman called the cops, but he's playing right into what she wants. She wants him to be embarrassed. And now this guy pulls his gun out because it's a big dick swinging contest at this point.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground now! Get on the ground! Get on the ground now!
I'm a federal agent.
917-110-3.
I'm a federal agent.
Get on the ground!
You don't say I'm a federal agent. You say what agency you work for. Federal agent, any idiot who watches a movie can say that. Oh, he's a federal agent. I see this all over YouTube. Federal agent does this or that. And I look and the guy's like a postal inspector. Nothing against postal inspector, but you think federal agent, usually people think FBI or Secret Service or something. ATF, you got to say I'm with the ATF. At least that lets the cop give you something, gives him a little bit something more specific than federal agent, which can mean anything.
A federal agent.
Why wouldn't you show me your ID when I got here? Don't move forward.
Now he says, why wouldn't you show me your ID when you got here? I've watched this video 6 times. Where was the opportunity for this guy to show his ID? It went from let's see, he pulls up and he's out of his car at 20 seconds in. And at 25 seconds in, he's got his gun out. So he can't say, don't reach for anything, show me your hands. And then say, why didn't you show me your credentials? That's completely inconsistent commands. You cannot do that. So already this cop is, in my mind, in the wrong big time because of those inconsistent commands he gave. And if he's going to blame everything that happened subsequent to that, he's in deep shit because he didn't give him an opportunity. When I've been stopped, when cops pull up, first of all, I was smart enough to know the first thing they're asked for is ID. So I'd literally have it in my hand as I saw the cop car pulling up. Because as the cop car's pulling up, you can reach for, whatever you want at that point, right? You can be stupid, but I'm under no lawful order at that point. And if the cop wants to be a dick and say, don't reach for anything when he gets out of the car, I'm kind of stuck at that point. I can't just start reaching for stuff. But as the cop pulls up, or as I would get pulled over my car, if it was in my pocket, I'd already start pulling it out of my pocket. So it was on my lap if I was in my car, in my hand, or if he's walking up to me in the street or is pulling up on the street, I just go for it before he even has a chance to say anything. So the ATF should have saw that coming, and then the cop to say, why don't you show me your ID is completely idiotic.
I'm a federal agent.
Get on the ground!
I'm a federal agent.
Why wouldn't you show me
No
your
reason
ID
to put
when
him
I
on
got
the
here?
ground.
Don't
He's
move
not
forward,
displaying a
Burke.
gun.
Didn't ask for it.
He is at 3359
Get on the ground. We'll figure it out.
Drive on that 10-8.
Not getting on the ground.
Well, then stay where you're at.
I'll stay where I'm at.
Fine. Why do you got to make this harder than it is?
Even though the cop is wrong, he should just get on the ground. He's got the gun out. He's not going to want to back down. He should know that this cop's adrenaline is rushing right now. He should just get on the ground and just say, you're an idiot. You never gave me a chance to take my ID out. It's in my pocket. And, I'll get on the ground, and then I need your supervisor here now.
Listen, I'm not getting on.
I have no problem making this.
I just want to see if anybody's free to respond as well.
You're the one reacting.
I'm not overreacting. We got a call that someone's impersonating a police officer out here who doesn't have ID.
No kidding, because she doesn't want to open it.
Okay, get on the ground so I can find out who.
And that's why it's bullshit. Any one time someone calls in and says someone's out here impersonating a cop, you'd roll up on anybody. So civilian says, I got a car here. I think it's a fake cop car and a fake cop. You would never jump out in a uniformed officer and draw down on him. He's also wrong because he says not showing ID. Well, that person's going to say, he's got to understand that that person has a motivation to lie. So them saying he's not showing me ID, he should understand that, well, if this person doesn't want to answer the door for law enforcement, they're going to say he didn't show ID. Turns out he actually did show his ID to this person.
You are. It ain't happening. Okay, fine. Fine. Do you find I think I'm a police officer or something? What the heck's the matter with you? Who do you think you are? Get on the ground.
I'm not getting out of
Chopper things.
I'm not getting
9170, I'm pulling up.
I got my ID.
Do not.
He's not presenting a threat. He's standing there with his arms out. He doesn't even know if he has a weapon.
Sir! Don't
And
argue.
E2
Face down
shows up.
on the ground. Face down now! Face down!
You guys are making a big mistake.
Fine, we'll settle that second. Settle that. Face down now. All the way down. All the way. All the
You
way.
got my IDs right here, left pocket.
And we're going to put your arm behind your back, sir.
Wait a second.
Do not resist.
I'm not resisting.
You're acting like a
No,
moron.
Wait a second.
Stop.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Don't do this. Wait a second. I got a medical condition. Get my license out of my pocket.
We're getting you secured.
Please, wait. No, whoa. Hold on. I'm hyperventilating. Please, sir. I'm
resisting.
I'm not.
Stop resisting.
Would you
now.
please get my ID out of my left pocket?
Stop
I'm
resisting.
begging you. My wife's please. It's right here.
resisting.
Please get it.
got
Wait,
one foot on.
sir, help me up. Just hold me up. Sir, I can't do it. Wait. Sir!
Stop resisting now.
Please help me. Sir, please get my
Get your taser out.
my federal creds.
Get your taser out, Jill.
No, don't do that, please.
All right, so creds are a good indication that the person's legitimate, because most people would say badge, but federal agents refer to their creds or credentials. Cops usually say badge or tin. So if someone said to me, "Let me get my creds," that's a pretty good indication that the person, at least it's more evidence that the person's legit.
Sir.
But this is the thing. I give the same right. We always say the time to fight this is not on the street. At this point, the officer is in control. He has the presumed authority at that point. Same thing applies to this idiot. No different than an average citizen who's not a cop. You don't start resisting and giving them reasons to escalate, even if they're wrong. They're not. They're trying to put you in cuffs, and you have your ID. You have the trump card. You have the ace up your sleeve. The ace up your sleeve is you're actually who you say you are. So that's going to make these guys look really bad. So let them go do. They're not beating you up. Let them handcuff you. Let them sit you in the patrol car. I wouldn't say anything at this point. I'd say, I've told you who I am. Get your supervisor down here. Get my credentials for my. I'd make sure that I kept saying that my credentials are my identifications here. My identifications here. That way they can't claim that you didn't. Tell them. And then once everyone's adrenaline comes down, then you could pull out that ace up your sleeve. I've been arrested by local police department. I've been arrested at gunpoint by local police department here in Suffolk County. When I was really new on the job, I was in a car in an area doing a surveillance. We had a pole camera up at a club that we had a source operating from, where wise guys were going to see our source. And I was in a neighborhood, and cops pulled up and basically pulled me out at gunpoint with a gun. I don't know, maybe a foot from my head, in a really untactically sound way. Like, walked up on the car after I had my ID out of the car, out the window. So there's no arguing at that point. The only thing I kept telling them was, I'm an FBI agent. You have my identification. They told me to drop it. I dropped it into the snow. They pulled me out at gunpoint, handcuffed me, arrested me, took my firearm, took my credentials. And the only thing I was doing was making sure I was going to give them any reason to shoot me. And at that point, they realized they fucked up, because my ID was there, and their sergeant was on scene. There was probably 12 other cops on scene, and they realized, oh shit. And so my team, who was radioing me, was realizing I wasn't answering the radio call. So they went to go find me, and then it was settled. And then when they showed up, it was settled and dealt with. But yeah, I wasn't going to fight them on it and get shot in the face. Keep yelling, I'm an FBI agent, get shot in the face. It's idiotic. You know, you have one moron, an overzealous cop. You don't need to throw fuel on the fire by being equally overzealous yourself. So this ATF agent completely embarrasses himself here.
Show me. make me tase you.
You're going to get tased. Put your right arm behind your back.
Okay.
Put your right arm behind
Help
your
me
back
up.
now. No.
Help me up.
No, you're going to stay on the ground and put your right arm behind your back.
Let me breathe. Let me breathe.
You can
I'm
breathe
gonna.
just fine.
I'm gonna. Ow! Ow! Don't do that. Okay. Here. My God.
Get him cuffed.
It is cuffed.
Get
Please
him cuffed.
stop.
Get him cuffed.
Please stop, sir. Wait a second. Sir. Please help me up. Please.
Get this kid.
I'm a federal agent. My God, my gun, my
You have
pistol.
no idea what you are.
Yelling that. So
Acting
you can
the way
see
you
his
are.
sidearm
Sir!
there.
Who
He's
the
pulling
heck
it
do you
off.
think you are acting like
Nobody. I wanted you to see my goddamn.
He's wearing
creds.
Merrill
The lady was
shoes,
freaking
cargo
out,
pants.
For Christ's sake.
I mean, this
Oh.
is how
Sir,
a lot of
please.
federal
Please.
agents dress. So this is not.
My God. Sir. Sir.
Oh, roll over. Sit up.
It's in my goddamn.
Sit up.
Showed her my
Sit up.
creds.
Let him sit up. Let him
I
sit up.
showed her my goddamn creds, for Christ's sake. Right there, left pocket. Left
He's so
pocket,
cringy, this
cargo
guy.
pocket. Please take him out.
Stay don't try and
Guys,
try and
I
sit up.
get it. I fucking get it.
Then you should have
Why
behaved
would
when
you
we told
act
you.
the way you did?
Yes,
hell
I wanted
with
you
you.
to see my
Now the cop's starting to fucking realize, he's like, why did you act the way you did? You wouldn't say that if he's realizing this guy's an actual ATF agent at this point. So now it's going to be, oh, you acted the way you did, which caused this whole thing, which is not largely true. It starts out with a gun being drawn on somebody, which immediately takes it to a life or death type of scenario, lethal confrontation for a guy standing at a door with a piece of paper. It doesn't matter what the person says. He's pretending to be an FBI, a police officer. That person who called could be a total nut job. The call wasn't a guy running around with a gun threatening to shoot me or breaking my house. It was a guy here pretending to be a police officer. You just don't start it off with a gun being drawn on them.
for Christ's sake. My God, I'm here to fucking talk.
No, you're the one that's in the wrong.
Sir.
And this ATF agent yelling, "My wife's pregnant," by the way, in the midst of this is probably peak cringe. What the hell does that have to do with anything?
You know, if you have interaction with the police, you obey commands.
Sir, I was trying to get
No,
this.
you didn't obey the command.
Sir, I'm with you guys, for Christ's sake.
Uh-oh, there's
federal
the
agent.
credentials.
Who's your supervisor?
There's his badge.
What's
There's
his
his
name?
ATF
What's your supervisor's
credentials.
name?
Hang on a second. The SAC is currently John McPherson, who's on his way out to retire, who will soon be rolling.
I took the mag out.
This ATF guy, in my opinion, has got some sort of issues. There's just so much about how he behaves. So when someone says, "Who's your supervisor?" He says, "My SAC." That's his special agent in charge. That's like 2 levels above his boss. There's no reason you would just, your supervisor is a lot closer to you than that. Now I understand he's in a situation where maybe he wants to call in the brass, but he says he's close to retirement. Who gives a shit? Who cares? He's close to retirement. He's got a bad knee. He's going to be, and then he says he's going to be rolling. I don't know if he means like leaving the ATF or he's going to be on his way to the scene. It's just a dumb answer. Just give him the answer. Give him the name of your supervisor. I would give the name of whoever I thought could get there fast enough and was most likely to answer the phone. And it wouldn't be my SAC. It would be my supervisor at the time.
My God. This is crazy.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Stand up.
I'm
Stand
not
up.
trying to be ashamed of myself.
Come out and sit in the back of the cruiser.
I'm trying to be ashamed of myself. He talks like a child.
Sir, please.
You gotta have a seat in the back of the cruiser.
My God. Sir, I'm just trying to do my
Just
goddamn
get in the
job.
car. Why would you make us do this?
I didn't want you to. I wanted to. Wait.
No.
Hold on, he's holding him. I'm locking the door.
Relax.
Hold him.
Hey, guys, please. Just talk to me for 1 second, please.
Get in the car.
No,
We'll
wait.
talk later.
Sir, wait.
You had your chance.
No, I was trying to give you my creds. You didn't let me show them
never
to you.
once tried.
I did.
Give
Wait,
you
my creds.
Wait,
His voice is
you didn't
cracking.
let me show them
Never
to you.
once tried.
I did.
Get in there. Have a seat.
Wait,
Now!
Have a seat.
Please, wait. I gotta breathe.
Okay,
Please,
you
sir,
can-
let
you
me
can
breathe.
sit down and breathe.
Let me breathe. I have a medical condition.
We're gonna get AirT. Get
No,
your legs
no.
in. Get your legs in. We're closing this door.
Sir,
Get your legs in.
917. We have a squad rolling. This guy's killing
sir,
us, having
please,
breathing
call an
problems.
ambulance. I'm asking
I
for an
just
ambulance.
did.
Got a
2
medic
seconds
coming.
ago.
Get in the car.
Sir, I don't need the taser didn't bother.
You just said call an ambulance. We don't need a medic.
Now you don't want one.
All the way in the car. Get all the
Sir,
way
I
in.
can't breathe.
These cops
Wait,
are Bush
sir.
League too, though.
All the way in. Put your feet all the
No,
way in.
sir, I'm begging you.
Get all the way in.
Wait, how did this happen? Okay. Get in.
For crying out loud. You're the cop. You're not an ass.
No, wait, I can't. You're fucking my head up. The seatbelt.
They're just doubling and tripling down on each other. These cops have to know that this guy is very likely legitimate. I mean, even if you don't know what ATF credentials look like, it's just, you have to know. The gun, right? Look at the gun. The gun is going to be a pretty standard issued Glock. It's going to have a law enforcement capacity magazine in it. It's not going in his waistband, floating around in his sweatpants. It's in a holster. He's got credentials that have all the earmarks of it being real. It's not printed on a computer. You could tell that. Even if you don't know what they look like, you could tell they look well made at a minimum. And now they're throwing him and locking him in the car. This is just them, overcompensating for the fact that they know that they fucked up. So now they're just pissed off and they're going to shove this guy in the car. Let him sit there. He's handcuffed. Like, there's no reason you can't leave the door open. It's just.
What's in place? Please! What the fuck? Why would you act like this? I didn't act any. Please, sir, if you are a real police officer, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. I'm trying to give you my creds. Guns up. Sir, I'm trying to give you my creds.
Why does he keep saying creds like that? My creds! Oh, my shoes and my glasses.
Sir! Sir!
So that's a Glock. Looks like a 22, maybe. Doesn't look like a 23.
Secure in your vehicle. Secure the gun in your vehicle.
Please call my supervisor. Please call John McPherson.
We have our supervisor on the way. We'll let him handle it.
Glock 23. There's a helicopter up looking for him. How stupid is this?
Please call my supervisor, guys.
Got the
Sergeant's
ghetto
on the way.
bird
I'll
up.
take care of it.
Trying to see if I can see exactly.
I mean, seriously, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, sir. I didn't mean to
Tell.
get you worked up, but you
When you get a gun pointed face by a cop, you give orders. You don't get to argue. You don't get to argue. You don't get to argue anymore.
I was trying to show you my creds.
You get to do that after you're secured.
No, that's bullshit. Sorry. He says you get to do that after you're secured. No. Most police departments have a policy and an escalation process that doesn't involve man with paper. You're allowed to draw your weapon on them. Because you could imagine anytime plainclothes law enforcement officers out there, someone calls the cops and says, hey, there's a guy saying he's a detective. He's in a suit. I don't know who he is. And the RMP, the regular marked patrol, cop pulls up. He jumps out with the gun out and has to handcuff you to get your ID. Fucking bullshit. That's a total lie. You walk up if the person's acting somewhat normal, not acting violent. You say, hey, I got a call. Keep your hands where I can see them. You have credentials on. You have any kind of identification. And you say, yeah, it's in my pocket. Can I get it? And then you hand it to him. You don't handcuff the guy and then say, now you can provide me your ID at gunpoint. That's bullshit.
Was this guy here outside the whole time?
I think so. We have to get him as a witness.
Yeah.
Hey,
Sir, I'm going to need you to hang around for a little bit.
You got everything, right? Thank you. I'm just putting this stuff on your hood.
That's fine.
Whenever the sergeant gets here, we'll call his supervisor.
Look, I'm going to let him handle. I'm not talking in.
It's just civilian. Dude, you saw how he was. He wouldn't
I know.
lie.
They're nervous.
No, you never. No.
Don't even argue with
It's
him.
all on video.
Don't even argue with him. Just let him yell. Just let him yell.
More cops. Oh, it's so embarrassing. This ATF agent. He must have other issues. I don't know if you could hear him. He's like, I'm just trying to do my job. Please call my supervisor. What do you think's going to happen to you? It's just so cringy. Can you imagine this guy in like a shootout or something? Please, just trying to load my gun.
But he wouldn't do anything. He wouldn't get on the ground. I told him over and over to get on the ground. He wouldn't comply with anything.
Here's where the lies start. So I think he says he wouldn't show me his badge.
He's a police officer. He's got a badge, but he wouldn't do anything. He wouldn't get on the ground. I told him over and over to get on the ground.
He said he's got a badge. Later on, I think he actually says he wouldn't show it to me. But he says he's got a badge. He could be a police officer. Now he's starting to hedge. He knows this guy. He has to know this guy.
He followed us the whole time.
Sir,
hurt?
Wouldn't get in the car. If he is a real police officer. No,
I got a little scratch. I'm fine.
I'll do that.
Yeah. All right.
Did we get him a good pat down on him and everything?
Not really. No.
130.
Yeah, he said you could hear the guy agent talking. I'm here to get a 20 gauge single load shotgun, I think he said. So he's describing why I was there. Also, when the cop shows up, he says he has like a OLED form, some sort of law enforcement form that probably he has to fill out, which again would be, you know, typical bad guys pretending to be cops wouldn't cite like a form that this cop's probably familiar with this to some extent. Another indication this guy's probably telling the truth.
Pretty often.
I gave her my name. I gave her my badge number. And when the officer I was taken by surprise, I got out. I listened.
So he's explaining how when he was at the door, he gave him his name and he gave them his badge number, which is really bad for the cops because when they should know that that could have happened and that the person calling isn't going to necessarily say he provided me with all this information.
I don't have mine. I mean, yeah.
The door knock. I couldn't show him my credits. He's telling me to get on the ground. He's pointing the gun. I'm freaking out because that's not the response I expected. And I was trying to do my best.
Which car did he come in?
Right there. Right there.
You run that tab?
Which one? Not yet.
Not yet.
I don't see one black Kia.
Do you have your computer up? If not, I'll leave. Henry?
Yeah. He's going to run on mine. He's just going to use my computer.
Okay. We got it. Never mind.
He's going to run on mine. It's fine.
You got the camera going?
Yeah. When we actually came together, you knocked mine off.
I saw yours go fine. I wasn't sure it was. Mine should be still working.
That's why I told you to go for yours.
Okay. I was thinking we were going to get him, but that was the only way to get him.
Harper Trust Company.
He was strong.
No, you're just...
So his supervisor was going to come to see. That's the way he acted. It's all on video.
He's got a good-looking badge and ID.
He very well may be. But you know what? When a police officer, yeah. I know.
It's worked up. James Burke.
He said over and over, I'm not getting on the ground. I will not. I said, you obviously don't know what's going on then. If he's here to work a warrant by himself, there's something strange about that.
It's not a warrant. He said something about the guy info. Her husband bought a shotgun or something. He was here to follow up on some shotgun purchase.
Yeah.
The guy's like, if he's here to work a warrant by himself, that's suspicious in and of itself. No, you dumb shit. There's a lot of things people could be doing that don't involve executing a warrant. Agreed, you wouldn't be executing a warrant alone. But this other guy chimes in and says, oh, it's something about a shotgun. It's all starting to fit together. And I don't know if these guys are just dense or deliberately or what, but this all starts to make sense.
I don't know if he's a 50A or 50B. I don't know.
I don't know what a 50A or 50B is. I don't know.
Otherwise, I'm going to get out of here.
Mentally disturbed, maybe.
Thank you very much.
Emotionally
If you want
disturbed.
him to hang out, Sarge might want to have a word with him. Just have him hang out for a second. I think he's landlord or something.
I'll hold on to him. Hey, you got a tablet?
So this is, I guess, the landlord, and this is where it gets even worse.
Right there. Give him a second. Oh, yeah. He's still figuring out what's going on with the problem. You saw everything, right? Oh, yeah. Yes, Mike.
So 3359, the original caller?
I guess.
That where was that where the kid and wife live?
No problem.
We need to talk to her then.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I think this is the original caller here.
So the landlord's super appreciative, but you'll see actually in a minute how stupid that interaction is. So now he's going to knock on the door. And I don't blame somebody if they're suspicious. Call the cops. There's nothing wrong with that. But listen how leading this is and how actually bad this is for the cop. This is the woman who called the cops.
Open the door because he's a police. I tell him I can't open the door because my husband.
Our officers on edge, Brooke. We were finally able to get
He said you have to open the door. I tell him I'm sorry, I can't. Stay with my kids. My kids start crying because they're afraid. And I tell him,
Did he ever try and break the door or anything like that?
Yes, he is still knock, and he say, I will stay here until evening if you don't.
So that answer is non-responsive, right? Did he try to break in the door? The cop's hoping that this guy did kick the door or something. And what is the boy gesture? He gestures with his hand that he's knocking. And the wife says yes, but she says yes and then proceeds to give an answer that's not consistent with the question. She goes, yes, he kept knocking. Well, that's not breaking the door in.
Tell him, I'm sorry, I can't stay with my kids. My kids start crying because they're afraid. And I tell him,
Did he ever try and break the door or anything like that?
Yes, he is still knock, and he say, I will stay here until evening if you don't open the door because you are liar.
Okay.
So he said, I'll stay here until the evening unless you open the door because you're a liar. There's no forced entry. This guy was smart enough to know, obviously, he doesn't have a search warrant. So now this cop just is really upset because he just walks away and says, okay, because he knows there's nothing here that this guy wasn't trying to break in. That's exactly what a cop or agent would say. Potentially, I wouldn't. It's a little bit cheesy, but he wasn't trying to force his way in, which would have then made him pulling a gun on him seem a lot more reasonable. Even though he didn't know at the time, he could try to figure out a way to work that into his statement. But now he just walks away.
Very good. There's a chance the sergeant might want to talk to you, so thank you very much. Okay, good. Thanks, Dee.
They all think this guy is not a real ATF agent. Like all the civilians, this landlord, the people he just spoke to, that's why they're like, thank you so much.
What's he got?
Is that? There's a chance he may even be legit.
But she said he grabbed the handle and tried to push it open, though.
Oh, this is so bad. So they found the body armor in his car, and someone else is like, oh, he might be legit. And this dope, who I think is the other guy who pulled the gun, now he's trying to embellish. Well, she said he tried to pull the handle and push it in, right? Which makes it look a lot more agreeable. It makes it look a lot worse for the ATF agent. It makes their response look a lot more agreeable, a lot more reasonable.
Is that? There's a chance he may even be legit.
But she said he grabbed the handle and tried to push it open, though.
They said it would put it as an 8 that he's trying to break in.
Well, no, she said he forcibly grabbed the channel.
Yeah.
No.
We got what the...
When? Did she say that when she called in? Because she clearly just contradicted herself. If she said that when she called in, she contradicted herself. I don't believe she said it on the 911. It's recorded anyway. They'll have it. But she wouldn't give an inconsistent answer. She actually seemed very genuine in her fear and her response. And she wasn't embellishing. She said yes to the question, but there's a language barrier there about the question about him pushing it in. But who said that they tried to push it in? Was that their dispatch? Did their dispatch screw up the relaying of that information and claim that the guy was trying to force his way in?
Says we got my video. Yeah. Oh, it's just ridiculous. It's just plain. In these days, we got people like this. I told him, I said, if you are a real police officer,
basically he's just standing there like this, and Joe's ordering him around. He's like, no, I'm going to show you my creds. You know, Joe said, no, you need to get down. He had a gun point. I came up, pointed my gun on the ground. After both of us pointed our guns at him, he finally started getting on the ground. Then went to go handcuff him. He's like, no, and he tried to pull like.
Yeah, the question is, you're starting the story with we had our guns out, and he wanted us to show us our creds. Why is the gun out? Why isn't any of these sergeants here going, and why is the gun out at this point? And they'd go, yeah, well, they said police officer, pretending to be a police officer. That's not justification to start your interaction with a civilian with your gun drawn.
This and tried to not let us handcuff him.
So we got one cuff on, we couldn't get the other one on. I had to drive steady. Yep. Where's my tape? See it?
It has to be over there in the grass, probably. That's where you were at.
Yeah, I just pushed it off.
It has to be over here in the grass then. You were basically right here.
Yeah, I was right here.
Might have fallen down underneath there. Look, there's a spot underneath the grass or underneath the cartridge on his taser.
It looks just like this. Oh.
So, he might have fallen.
Or did we set it on your car? No.
This landlord's got kiddie porn in his apartment. He's just overly helpful. He's like, oh, I'll help you look on the floor. Just don't look at my apartment.
I gave her everything.
but then he wouldn't get in the car. It's like, okay. He's a big, strong guy. I don't see it.
Nothing on.
Okay, thank you.
God bless.
Yeah.
Is it possible? I saw you put some stuff.
Maybe yeah, let me look over here. Maybe I did put it in the car, I'll see. Yeah, I got it, it's here. I didn't realize I put it in the car. Yep.
I want to tell your supervisor what a nice job.
Thank you. Thank you.
I gotta tell him.
Okay.
You know,
very good.
Would it change your mind, sir, if you found out this was an actual ATF agent? Would you think he did such a super job? I have a feeling he'd change his mind.
They complain, but when they gotta appreciate that we never
We sure try. That's the sergeant. If you want to go and see if you can talk to you, you can. It's up to you.
Yeah,
he may wait till he's ready.
Yeah,
but
I bet.
thank you so much. He did have a gun, yes.
Did he have a gun? He says, yeah, he did have a gun. And he just goes, oh.
He very well may be a real police officer, but he wasn't following protocol.
Yep. I doubt it very much.
Yep.
I doubt it very much. He's a police officer.
I doubt it very much he's a police officer. I doubt it very much. This cop knows he's a cop by now. He knows there's every indication he's a cop. Saying he didn't follow protocol. What protocol? Your police department's protocol? ATF protocol? The cop doesn't know ATF protocol for dick. So if it's normal law enforcement interaction protocol, they're both wrong. But you go back to the, if not for, or but for analysis, but for that cop coming out with his gun drawn, everything else probably likely would have never escalated to that point. So, and this landlord guy is like, oh, thank you for saving us. He's definitely not a cop. He goes, I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it.
He did have a gun, yes. He very well may be a real police officer, but he wasn't following protocol. Yep.
I doubt it very much.
Yep.
I doubt it very much. He's a police officer.
Thank you. Thank you.
I doubt it very much he's a police officer. I promise you. Nah, you're wrong.
Oh, that sure would have made it easier.
Well, no, if I'd have reached for it, I didn't realize I had it on.
Around his neck, he's got his, it looks like building access cards. It doesn't look like, I always kept my badge around my neck for that reason. So that, if there's I don't want there to be I wouldn't want there to be any miscommunication from law enforcement or anyone for that matter. But if I'm in regular clothes, my badge always hung, similar to this, but bigger. This is a little keychain, around my chest and right where my heart, center mass. So if somebody was a cop's aiming to shoot me and he claims I didn't see, well, it's kind of hard to say you didn't see a badge hanging around center mass around someone's neck as you shot them and aim center mass. The building, it looks like he had building access cards, like your scan cards, which are also an indication of someone being legit. And the cop says smart, like a smartass, oh, that would have been helpful. And the guy says, you didn't give me a chance. And he's right. Like, he didn't say, show me ID, and failed to produce. He just came out with his gun drawn the minute the guy said, I'm a federal agent. I think the cop got all pissy and territorial and drew his gun. So that's it. So it's just, it's hard to believe. I really thought it was a fake video because there was just so many missteps on both sides that I just couldn't believe that the ATF agent would act that way and so cringy, and resist in that way, and that the cop would come out with guns drawn immediately and not give the guy an opportunity to show his credentials and just allow it to escalate to that point. So the cop's filing a lawsuit, use of excessive force. I could see them absolutely winning that lawsuit. I don't know how much he's going to get. He claimed all sorts of emotional damage, and he's like on desk duty now, which honestly, for someone who behaves like that, probably shouldn't be on the street anyway, because that was just cringy. And I'm sure that the cops are going to be disciplined. I would bet anything that they violated their protocol when they showed up and pulled their guns out like that, and that they're going to be disciplined for that. I don't know if they'll be terminated necessarily. They could. But I would be shocked to find out that they weren't ultimately disciplined, and that someone's going to concede at the police department that is not their policy, that in that type of scenario that to escalate to having your gun out when a guy has a piece of paper in his hand is saying he's a federal agent and doing nothing else that's threatening. He's not running. Not that you could if he was running anyway, but he's not running. He's not smashing a door down. He's not saying, I got my gun, or I got a gun. You don't even know if he has a gun. He hasn't, there's no indication he does. He's just pretending that, even if it's him pretending to be a police officer, that just means that the person said he said that. She didn't say man with a gun trying to get into my house. That's different, by the way. The call was man with a gun trying to break into my house. You have a lot more wiggle room to get out of your car right away with your gun. And if the guy doesn't have ID, like literally in his hand showing it to you, that maybe you could pull your weapon like that. So just a disgraceful video. I'm surprised I hadn't seen it. I think a lot of people hadn't seen it. It's been out for, I think, a couple of years now. For some reason, it's making the rounds. But I want to do a quick video on it just because I thought it was hysterical and maybe interesting for others. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoy the episode, and I'll hopefully see everybody soon. Take care.